Give me a player on the Jets that has the most to prove, and how do you think that will impact the way that he plays this upcoming Monday?
Yeah, I mean, I know this is going to be a very chalk answer, but I don't know how you don't go Aaron Rodgers here, just because coming
Totally
off
fair.
injury, and we really haven't seen him. Jet fans have been so excited about this guy since March. Is 4 plays of him, so there's going to be a lot of eyeballs on him in this game, and obviously want to get through more than just the 4 plays, but also show that you could still play at a high level. The Jets believe that he can. I think they've done a good job surrounding him with talent and a better offensive line. So it's really up to him at this point to prove that he is still the guy. And there's a lot of pressure on him, and I know he hasn't played well against the 49ers in the playoffs. In the regular season, he's fared a little bit better. So we'll see, but very tough test out of the gate, and probably on paper, at least, I would say this is Jets' toughest game on the schedule.
I want to take a second to shout out today's sponsor, Underdog Fantasy. Promo code LSS. Link is in the description. Right now, Underdog Fantasy has a promotion where if you use my promo code, you will get 50% deposit match up to $1,000 and one free pick. An example of a free pick was week 1, Travis Kelce, 1 yard gained. If you added him to any of your slips, you were an automatic winner on that pick. And you can play daily fantasy, weekly fantasy, yearly fantasy, all best ball style. Choose over unders, whatever it is that tickles your fancy. And the best part is they give you a chance to flex your picks. That means if you do a 3 pick and you're not that confident, you can hit on 2 and you come out a winner. Shout out to Underdog for always being a great sponsor. And remember, supporting our sponsors is supporting the channel. Let's get back to the video. Yeah, I think Aaron Rodgers is it's a totally fair answer. I remember last year, I was so excited for that game against the Buffalo Bills. And I was traveling and I had just gotten off the plane, getting ready to go home. And all of a sudden the tweets start flying, Aaron Rodgers out of the game. And immediately it was a torn Achilles. It was pretty obvious. And it was, I don't really root for other teams. Obviously I'm a 49er fan, but I do root for fan bases. I got to admit, fan bases like Cleveland Browns fan base. There's some other one, Detroit Lions. Jets are kind of in there until now. They've been on me a little bit the last couple of weeks, but Jets fan base was a fan base last year. I was certainly rooting for. It's like, man, give these guys something good. They need something. And then Aaron Rodgers goes down right away and Zach Wilson had to come in. I think Aaron Rodgers, I don't know if he'll be as good as what he once was, but one thing we do know about Aaron Rodgers is he's not going to turn the ball over very much at all throughout the course of the season. And I think just protecting the ball, allowing Breece Hall to do his thing, hopefully he can stay healthy as well, and then that defense can just be dominant. That's enough to win a lot of games in this league. And that's also a strategy that travels in the playoffs. So I think that Aaron Rodgers can at least be that. And if he somehow returns to form, then it's like, man, this team could be very, very interesting. But week 1, I don't know how to look out the gates. It might take him a while to get up to speed. He's looked really good in the training camp clips that I've seen, but he hasn't played football in a very, very long time. So I'm curious to see what it looks like for him.
Yeah, and I think you bring up a really good point there, and it almost, in a way, and it makes sense seeing who the Jets head coach is, and Robert Saleh in a lot of ways reminds me of the 49ers, because I think this team is going to be built around having an elite defense. They're going to want to run the ball a lot. And if Rodgers is even just average, I think it's going to be a big improvement. They've won 7 games the last 2 years with by far the worst quarterback room and set of starters in the NFL. So even if Rodgers is the 15th best quarterback, I don't know how their record doesn't improve by 3-4 games just there. And then after that, if he gets back to that MVP form, which I'm not going to go that far and say he's going to be MVP, but if he could be, again, top half of the league quarterback, I think that's when the Jets could really do damage.
Yeah, I think for the 49ers, a player that has the most to prove, and it's not like this player isn't good. We know this player is very, very good, but he missed all offseason. There was a major contract dispute, and he's going against one of the best corners in the league. if for some reason the 49ers lost this game and Brandon Ayuk has like 3 catches for 14 yards, the fan base is going to be on him. They're going to be at his neck. So that is something that I'm going to be looking forward to. What does it look like for Brandon Ayuk? And listen, if Brandon Ayuk had a whole offseason, I think game plan wise, the 49ers would probably use him a little bit more as a decoy, run off sauce, get him out of the area, and allow other guys to work anyways. So I don't know that this game was ever primed for him to have a big game. But the fact that he just got big time money, there was that struggle, that dispute. And you know how it is. Some fans choose the ownership to back, and we're all about backing the name on the front of the jersey, not the back. Other fans back the player. So you have a little bit of a struggle there. But if IU struggles and this team loses, I don't think it'll be pretty for the first week of the season for him. So I hope for his sake he has a really good game. And he certainly does have a lot to prove to a big chunk of this fan base that is upset with how he handled the offseason negotiations.
Yeah, I mean, that's going to happen anytime there's a negotiation like that. It gets really ugly. The Jets are dealing with that right now, obviously, with Hassan Reddick. And some fan bases, or some of the fan bases backing the player. The other part is backing, the team and Joe Douglas and ownership, the whole thing. So it's really tough. And for Ayuk, for his sake, coming out of the gate and performing right away would kind of get the fan bases, the fan base that turned on him back in his good graces. So I'm curious to see how he performs in week 1. But as you mentioned with Sauce Gardner this year, the Jets are going to travel him a little bit more. They haven't really done that his first 2 years. So my assumption is Sauce is going to be on Ayuk a lot. So we'll see how much he's utilized in the passing attack for the 49ers.
Absolutely. We got Brother Bob coming back, and he says Dave's best thing the Jets have is the corny Jets chant.
It's good.
I like the chant. I like the chant. Dave says, and even that's awful, but I can't give him a lot. There's actually some good questions here from Dazza. He has a couple of them. He says, sure. What's happening with Hassan Reddick this year, and how long will he hold out for?
Yeah, tough, man. I don't know when the end. It could happen 5 minutes from now. It could happen 5 weeks from now. It's just been really quiet on that front. If I had to give a guess, I don't think he's playing in this game at this point. I think we'd have had to report already. Maybe after week 1, at some point, he comes back in. Chris Jones last year with the Chiefs missed the first game of the year and then reported and ended up, playing a really good season, and they would go on and win the Super Bowl. But I'm not going to lie to you. It is something that is a concern. I just don't see from his perspective how it makes sense to hold out a full season, because then you just end up right back where you started because you don't accrue that season, and he would still be on that same contract and with the Jets again. So I don't know how that benefits him.
Yeah, as soon as I read the question, that was the first thing I thought of was Chris Jones last year. I'm like, I bet you if it happens, it's going to happen after week 1. Like they'll have the holdout, then they'll come together, they'll figure it out. To me, I don't know what the salary cap looks like for the Jets. But when you have a player that's in a situation like this, I think the best middle ground is, hey, let's just up your guaranteed money, give you more money this year, and then allow you to be a free agent next year. I'm sure that's been discussed. I don't know what the number is that the Jets can actually allow, but I just feel like that's a really good, let's meet in the middle. You're still 29 years old. You can go out and have a hell of a season yet again for another team. Then you can go get yourself a big time 3-year deal somewhere else, and we'll pay you more money this year. I feel like that should be the answer to the question. Like I said, these guys are professionals. I'm sure they've talked about it, but it just seems so easy to me. Like, why not that?
Yeah, you're asking all the right questions. That's something that I've said for a while. I would go as far, I would tack on an additional year and add on in 2025, but anything after that, I don't really want to get involved with, because that's when guys like Sauce Gardner and Breece Hall, Garrett Wilson, like they're all going to have to get new contracts. But if they were to redo the money for this year and then maybe tack on in another year, I think that fits well with the Aaron Rodgers window that the Jets are working with. But in a perfect world, as you said, just, up the guarantee money for this year. They can do it. They restructured some deals yesterday as well before we got the news on the Michael Carter contract. So I really don't know what the holdup is. I would think it would be something that is that simple, but unfortunately, it doesn't seem to be the case.